Welcome to Mind Decoded, where we explore the psychology behind human behavior. Let's decode today's topic. You close your laptop after a productive day of work. You've finished most of your tasks. But there's one project you didn't complete. Just one, and it won't leave your mind. You're cooking dinner, and you're thinking about that unfinished project. You're watching TV, and it's still there in the background of your thoughts. You're trying to fall asleep, and suddenly you're wide awake thinking about what you need to do tomorrow. Meanwhile, all the tasks you actually completed today? You've completely forgotten about them. Your brain isn't reviewing your accomplishments. It's obsessing over what you left undone. This isn't random. This is your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. It's called the Zeigarnik Effect. And once you understand why your brain does this, you can use it strategically instead of letting it torture you at night. Today on Mind Decoded, we're exploring the Zeigarnik Effect. Why unfinished tasks won't leave your mind. What happens in your brain when you leave something incomplete. How this effect is manipulated by apps and streaming services to keep you hooked. And how to use this psychological quirk to actually improve your productivity instead of increasing your anxiety. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical, psychological, or mental health advice. If you're experiencing mental health concerns, please consult with a qualified mental health professional. Let's start with the original research. In the 1920s, Russian psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik noticed something curious in a Vienna restaurant. Waiters had perfect memory for orders that hadn't been delivered yet. But once the food was served and the bill was paid, they immediately forgot the details. Zeigarnik conducted experiments to test this. She had participants work on a series of puzzles and tasks. For some tasks, she allowed them to complete the work. For others, she interrupted them before completion. Later, she asked participants to recall which tasks they had worked on. The results were striking. Participants remembered interrupted tasks 90% better than completed tasks. The unfinished work stuck in memory. The finished work vanished. This became known as the Zeigarnik Effect. Your brain remembers incomplete tasks significantly better than completed ones. Here's what's happening neurologically. When you start a task, your brain opens what researchers call a cognitive loop. Resources are allocated. Attention is directed. Your prefrontal cortex is tracking progress toward completion. As long as the task remains unfinished, this cognitive loop stays open. Your brain maintains active representation of the goal. This creates what psychologists call task-specific tension, a low-level anxiety that keeps the unfinished work in your awareness. When you complete the task, the cognitive loop closes. Your brain releases the mental resources. The tension dissipates, and the task rapidly fades from active memory. This makes evolutionary sense. Our ancestors needed to remember threats that weren't resolved and problems that weren't solved. A partially built shelter. An injured animal you were tracking. A conflict with another tribe member. These incomplete situations required continued attention. Completed tasks could be safely forgotten. The shelter is built. The animal is caught. The conflict is resolved. Your brain can stop allocating resources to these problems. But here's the problem in modern life. You're juggling dozens of open loops simultaneously. Every email you haven't responded to. Every project you've started but not finished. Every commitment you've made but not fulfilled. Each one is a cognitive loop demanding mental resources. Research shows this cognitive load has real costs. Psychologist Baumeister found that unfinished goals cause intrusive thoughts. These thoughts pop up when you're trying to focus on something else. They drain mental energy even when you're not consciously thinking about them. The good news is you don't actually have to complete the task to close the loop. You just need a plan. Baumeister discovered that making a specific plan for how and when you'll complete the task significantly reduces the intrusive thoughts. This is why a simple to-do list is so powerful. Writing down the unfinished task with a plan for completion gives your brain permission to stop holding it in active memory. The loop doesn't close completely, but the tension reduces dramatically. Here's how to use this strategically. At the end of your workday, don't just stop working. Spend 5 minutes doing a brain dump. Write down every unfinished task. Add a specific plan for when and how you'll complete each one. This isn't just organization. You're deliberately closing the cognitive loops that would otherwise keep you mentally at work all evening. Your brain can relax because it knows the information is captured and there's a plan. Now let's talk about how this effect is weaponized against you. Streaming services understood the Zeigarnik effect perfectly. Cliffhangers at the end of episodes exploit the psychological discomfort of open loops. The episode ends mid-conflict. Your brain has an open cognitive loop. You need to know what happens next. The discomfort of the unfinished story creates a powerful urge to click the next episode. Autoplay counts down. 3, 2, 1. And you're watching the next episode even though you plan to stop. Social media uses the same mechanism. You scroll through your feed. There's always one more post. The feed is literally designed to never end. Your brain never gets the completion signal. The loop stays open, so you keep scrolling. Video games exploit this ruthlessly. Achievements you haven't unlocked, levels you haven't beaten, quests you haven't completed. Each one is an open loop creating tension. The game keeps you engaged by ensuring you always have incomplete goals pulling you back. Here's how to defend against manipulation. Recognize when the Zeigarnik effect is being triggered artificially. Cliffhangers aren't natural stopping points. They're manufactured to create psychological discomfort. When you notice the discomfort of wanting to continue, pause. Acknowledge what's happening. Your brain is responding to an open loop. But you can choose to leave it open. The discomfort will fade within minutes if you step away. Now let's use the effect productively. When you're working on a difficult project and you need to take a break, stop mid-task. Don't finish the section you're working on. Leave it incomplete. This sounds counterintuitive, but the open loop means you'll think about the work during your break. When you return, you'll remember exactly where you were and what you were thinking. You won't need time to get back into flow. Ernest Hemingway used this technique. He would stop writing mid-sentence. The incomplete thought would stay in his mind. When he sat down to write the next day, he knew exactly what came next. The open loop pulled him back into the work. You can also use the Zeigarnik effect to maintain motivation. When working on a long-term project, create visible progress markers that show what's incomplete. A chart with empty boxes you haven't filled yet. A list with items you haven't checked off. The visual reminder of open loops creates mild tension that keeps the project in your awareness. You're more likely to continue making progress because your brain is tracking the incomplete work. Here's what the Zeigarnik effect doesn't mean. It doesn't mean you should leave everything unfinished. That creates overwhelming cognitive load. Too many open loops and your brain becomes paralyzed trying to track everything. It also doesn't mean completed tasks are worthless. Completion gives you the psychological reward of closing loops. That satisfaction is important for motivation. The key is strategic use. During active work, leverage open loops to maintain engagement. At transition points like end of day or end of week, deliberately close loops with specific plans so your brain can rest. Here's a practical framework. During your workday, batch similar tasks together. Complete entire batches before switching contexts. This minimizes the number of open loops at any given time. When you must stop before completion, write down exactly where you were and what the next step is. This reduces the mental load of the open loop while maintaining the benefit of easy re-engagement. At the end of each day, review all open loops. For each one, either complete it, create a specific plan for completion, or make a conscious decision to abandon it. If you're experiencing constant intrusive thoughts despite having plans written down, this might indicate anxiety needing professional attention. The Zeigarnik effect creates mild tension, not overwhelming distress. You're not broken because unfinished tasks bother you. You have a brain that evolved to track incomplete problems. Understanding the Zeigarnik effect gives you control. You can close loops when you need mental rest. You can leave loops open when you need sustained engagement. You're working with your brain's natural tendencies instead of fighting against them. Next time on Mind Decoded, we're exploring the focus strategy that separates high performers from everyone else. Deep work. What it actually means neurologically. Why most people never achieve it. The specific environmental and mental conditions required. And how to build the capacity for deep focus in a world designed for distraction. Don't miss it. And that's how the mind works. If this helped you understand yourself better, subscribe for weekly psychology insights. Thanks for watching.